release that list, huh? I don't mean to divert this to the Epstein list. I just meant to ask you, isn't it weird?
It's a little odd.
What if I told you that the biggest political scandal of our time isn't about left versus right, but about something much darker? That there's a reason why powerful people across the political spectrum are fighting to keep one document hidden. This isn't conspiracy theory anymore, it's documented political reality. When Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell sat down to discuss the Epstein list, they uncovered something much bigger than just famous names. They revealed the actual mechanics of how power protects itself, and why the truth about Jeffrey Epstein's client list threatens to destabilize the entire system.
What's going on? I keep thinking, what could be in that list? What's in there? What bit of information is in there?
Well, here's the thing. The list is, they probably don't have like a list in terms of like you have to sign up when you go to the island. You know what I mean? But they know the flight logs.
Right.
That's all public knowledge, right? Isn't it?
All I know...
But hasn't it always been public knowledge in terms of like when people want to investigate things? Like if you go on a plane, say if you fly on a private plane, which most of these guys do, you tell everyone knows who's on the plane. You have to give your ID. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like I have to give my ID all the time, even if you're on a private jet. So they know who's on the planes. They know. There should be a flight manifest, and they probably save those.
This is the fundamental question that gets overlooked in the Epstein coverage. Why the intense resistance to transparency? What's fascinating is how Rogan and Trussell immediately ground the conversation in verifiable facts, flight logs and manifests that should be public record. This isn't wild speculation. It's about documented information that exists within government systems. In any normal criminal investigation, this evidence would be automatically disclosed. The fact that there's a political battle over basic flight records tells you everything about how compromised the system has become. They're not asking for secret documents. They're asking for information that should have been public from day one.
The fact that, and no one's saying that just because you went there, you didn't do it doesn't mean you necessarily did a heinous crime. Because I think you can't just have it chaos over there. I bet it was a real good honeypot where there's a lot of sophisticated intellectual discourse. You got a lot of brilliant people there. You've got great music, you know. You got like famous people are hanging around too.
Yeah.
It seems really cool. And then if there's blackmail, the blackmail is like snuck into all this.
Yeah.
Snuck in, come to the room with the cameras. And next thing you know, you're doing cocaine. Oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. But, you know, you never get to get to an island.
Yeah.
You don't get to do this very often. I mean, I'm so busy with my CEO job.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man.
And then next thing you know, you're donating money to whatever they tell you to.
This is where they perfectly describe intelligence tradecraft applied to blackmail. A honeypot isn't just about sex, it's about creating an environment so appealing that targets willingly compromise themselves. Mix intellectual discourse with celebrities, add illegal activities, and you have the perfect recipe for control. What's insightful here is their understanding of gradual escalation. It starts with legitimate networking, then introduces minor transgressions before moving to serious crimes. This methodology explains why so many apparently intelligent people got caught. The compromise happens gradually, not all at once. The blackmail isn't overt. It's snuck in, as Duncan says, making victims complicit in their own compromise.
How many senators just voted against releasing this shit, man? This is weird. There's two votes that are happening. The UFO disclosure thing, they keep voting against that. And the Epstein list, they keep voting against that.
Right.
And also, politically, it can't serve you to talk about a bad list. The list of people who said, let's protect people who like have done horrific shit to kids. You don't want to be on that list, but whatever's on that list must be so destabilizing. 51 to 49.
This is the moment where conspiracy theory becomes documented political reality. The 51-49 Senate vote isn't speculation. It's public record. Rogan's immediate reaction, "They're probably told to do this," reveals the core truth of modern politics. These aren't individual moral decisions, but coordinated party strategy. What's particularly telling is his observation about both Epstein files and UFO disclosure facing the same resistance. This pattern suggests there are systemic forces operating across different controversial topics, using the same playbook of obstruction. The near-party line vote indicates this isn't about justice or morality. It's about political survival and protecting the system itself from destabilizing.
It's coming to an end, guys. I've spoken to a lot of House Republicans this week, and they confided that Trump's movement support is fading. As one told me, this Epstein bomb is about to drop, and no one wants to defend a pedo protector. It's just a matter of time, Swalwell said in a thread. One Republican just texted me that if there's a discharge vote on Epstein, they expect a jailbreak of over 100 members. Trump will go nuts, he added.
So they said, this further goes on to say that if they get back, this is the first thing on the docket, and that's sort of what's holding them back in recess right here.
Wow. We are watching wild history in real time.
Dude!
This is a wild scene.
Oh my God.
The term jailbreak here is incredibly significant. It suggests that many politicians are privately waiting for political cover to do what they know is morally right. This reveals the internal dynamics of Washington: fear, calculation, and the understanding that some truths are too explosive to handle without collective action. The phrase, "no one wants to defend a pedo protector," shows that even within the political class, there's recognition that this issue transcends normal partisan politics. They understand that being on the wrong side of child exploitation is politically untenable, which is why the pressure is building. This isn't just external public pressure. It's internal recognition that the dam is about to break.
Did you ever talk to Weinstein about him? Weinstein met him.
About Daryl?
No, Epstein. Weinstein.
Oh, thank God. I thought you were about that. I think he's just such the best.
I love Daryl too. About Epstein, he met him.
Dude, what did he say it was like?
He said he had a girl on his lap while they talked. The girl was like 21 years old. And I think he said she was Asian. I don't remember. But he said she was really beautiful. And she was sitting on his lap, and he was bouncing her up and down while they were talking. So they're talking about finance, and her boobs are juggling. So he goes, she wasn't underage or anything. She was a woman, but she was sitting on his lap, and he was bouncing her around.
Weinstein's first-hand account is crucial because it provides validation from a credible source, a mathematician and economist who can spot when someone doesn't know what they're talking about. The bizarre behavior described isn't just about sexual perversion. It's a power display designed to unsettle and dominate. Weinstein's intuition that Epstein was a construct aligns with what we now know about intelligence assets. They often have artificial backgrounds and mysterious funding sources. This wasn't a genuine financier. This was someone playing a role for a specific purpose.
Definitely. I don't know what the actual accusations have been, because the wildest thing about the Ghislaine trial is she went to jail for trafficking to who knows who. The fact that you could just put her in jail and who'd you traffic to? None of that gets out in the trial at all? That's crazy. And they do it right in front of your face.
That's crazy, dude.
So you don't know we hear it was underage girls. We know that there was some of them were underage for sure. And then we also know that some of them were not underage. They were young women. And you know, they all have, like, one of them wound up dying recently. One of them that's been a whistleblower died.
Yeah.
Like, you imagine you're a young girl and you're broke, and then you meet that guy and he invites you to go on a island somewhere or party somewhere, and you're hanging out with all the creeps, and then years later, when all it starts coming out what happened, you go public and you money. You don't have any money, and you got these billionaire sharks who want to take you out.
Yeah.
This highlights one of the most disturbing aspects of the entire Epstein case. The justice system seems designed to protect the clients rather than deliver actual justice. Ghislaine Maxwell goes to prison for trafficking, but we never learn who she trafficked to. This creates the perfect containment strategy: sacrifice the middleman while protecting the network. The sudden deaths of whistleblowers and key witnesses follows a pattern we've seen in other high-profile cases involving powerful interests. What Rogan identifies here is the sheer audacity of the operation. They do it right in front of your face. This isn't some hidden conspiracy. It's happening in plain sight, relying on people's inability to believe that the system could be this corrupted. The paradox is that the more brazen the corruption, the harder it is for people to accept it's real.
I think it's safe to say, and it's not even conspiratorial, the current system of how we elect our leaders is based on money. You need donors, right?
100%.
So that is a kind of legal bribery. You give enough money to this politician or that politician, and it's not like you own them, but they know you gave them all this money, and they know they want to run again. They also know that you've got your own constituents, and you have a lot of control, network of bots that you could easily unleash on the internet. And so I think it's a safe bet that it's highly likely that it's donors who are on that list and who are compromised for real, who are exerting massive amounts of pressure on the federal government to not release those files. But and it could be that it's an existential threat. It could be that it would cause so much tumult that it could lead to an actual uprising. It could lead to like a bunch of us with torches standing around the castle ready to burn the vampire out. And I think that must be it, because if I'm a career politician, dude, I don't want to vote against releasing something that is if there are monsters among us, we need to know.
This is arguably the most important insight in the entire conversation. Follow the money. Rogan correctly identifies that modern politics operates on a donor-based system that functions as legal bribery. When your political survival depends on donor money, and those donors are compromised by their Epstein connections, the entire system becomes hostage to blackmail. This isn't about mysterious conspiracy theories, it's about straightforward political economy. The pressure isn't coming from shadowy figures, it's coming from people whose names are in campaign finance databases. Rogan's warning about potential. Uprising shows he understands that when institutions fail to self-correct, they risk losing public legitimacy entirely. This is how systems collapse, not through external attacks, but through internal corruption that becomes too obvious to ignore.
That there are these very same people who are working right now, who are out there, nobody knows, who are actual predatory pedophiles, and our government is protecting them.
That's the other terrifying thing about the open border. In the name of compassion and not stopping people from coming into the country, one thing that they think was a lot of it was sex trafficking kids.
Oh, yeah.
While this border connection might seem like a tangent, it's actually revealing a broader pattern. Wherever systems, breakdown or oversight disappears, predatory networks emerge. The common thread between elite Epstein-style trafficking and border chaos is the exploitation of vulnerable children when accountability fails. What's significant here is the scale, thousands and thousands of kids disappearing into a system with no tracking. This creates the perfect environment for predators who operate in the shadows. While the contexts are different, elite islands versus border chaos, the underlying dynamic is the same. Children become commodities when institutions fail to protect them. This broader perspective helps explain why the Epstein case resonates so deeply. It's not just about one island, but about how power and predation operate across different levels of society. So, what does this all mean? The Epstein case isn't really about Jeffrey Epstein. It's about the system that protected him. It's about how money, power, and blackmail intersect to create a class of people who operate above the law. It's about why both political parties have reasons to keep this information hidden. And, most importantly, it's about whether our institutions are still capable of holding power accountable. The fact that we're having this conversation on platforms like Joe Rogan's show represents a fundamental shift. The gatekeepers are losing control of the narrative. But here's the real question. Will the truth ever actually come out? Or is the system too powerful, too compromised, too invested in maintaining the status quo? That's where you come in. This isn't just about watching from the sidelines, it's about demanding accountability. If you want to see more deep dives into how power actually operates, hit that subscribe button. But more importantly, share this video. Talk about it. Keep the pressure on. Because history shows us that the only way corruption gets exposed is when enough people refuse to look away. Let me know in the comments what you think. Will the Epstein list ever be fully released? Or are we destined to only ever know half-truths? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.